So in today's video, we're going to go over some tips for cleaning up your Google Drive. So under the description of the video is a breakdown of all of the different topics that I go over. So if you want to take a look at that and jump around, you are more than welcome to. So the first thing here is my drive. So it is found in the Google Waffle. So if you go into the Waffle, this is the drive. Like I've said multiple times, you can move these little icons around so you can customize that. So you can click on that and that will take you to your drive. Now when you click on that, you may land on your drive, which is right here, my drive, or you might land on home. And home is a new Google option in Drive. So the new home section is basically artificial intelligence trying to predict what it thinks we want to see, like what documents we want to see and what documents we want to work on. So it's interesting. It's a new thing. Jury's still out. Not really sure how I feel about the home section. I have it set so it goes to my drive when I click on my drive in the Waffle. And I'll show you how you can set that up. So if you go over here to settings, there's not a ton of settings in Google Drive, but this first one, start page, that just says just what we talked about. When you click on the drive in the Google Waffle, do you want it to go to home or do you want it to go to my drive? I have it set so it goes to my drive. You can also, there's a relatively new area called workspaces. You can turn that off. If you don't use workspaces, you could turn that off so that you don't see that. They have new dark mode. So if you're a dark mode kind of person, you can set it to dark mode. I have it on light. And then down here, the density, I have it on compact, which means it's smushed in there. So it's kind of, think about it, line spacing in Google Docs. So this would be like double space. This would be 1.5 and this would be 1. I have it set like this so I have more, I don't know, real estate. So all my stuff is kind of crammed so I can fit more on a page. Always make sure that you have your upload set to convert to Google Docs. And those are the only other settings that I want to touch on right now. So you pick if you want it to go to home or you want it to go to drive. But there's two places that we're going to focus on today. And that is my drive and this over here on the left hand side. Click on my drive. And then we're going to touch briefly on shared with me. Let's start with shared with me. Let's get the bad news out of the way. So I'm going to click on shared with me. Shared with me is a place where anything anyone has ever shared with you is located. Or if you clicked on a Google link that opened up someone else's presentation and you just looked at it for a second, it's in your shared with me. So I can click on name and I can organize it by name. But there's so much in here. Now your shared with me, you cannot create folders in here. These are just, I think of it like a messy closet that you just ignore and you don't go in there. If you find something in your shared drive that you want, so we've got all the folders are first, and then if I scroll down here to the bottom, I have my, I have these single documents. So these, I call them like homeless documents. They don't have a folder. Think of the folder as a home, so they don't have a home. So they're homeless. So like this ugly holiday sweatshirt activity, I don't own that. It's in the shared with me. That sounds kind of cute. So if I want to move something from my shared with me to my drive, because remember, I cannot organize anything in here, but I can organize things in my drive. So I am going to take this and I'm going to make a shortcut to my drive. The way that I can do that, I can do this multiple ways. Right click is always my best friend. So if I right click on this and then I scroll down to organize, notice move is grayed out. It's not an option. I can't click on it because I don't own it. I can't move it, but I can add a shortcut. So right here, add a shortcut to my drive. So if I click on that, this once again, Google is using some AI to make some suggestions. So we have suggested folders. So it's looking at ugly holiday sweater, and these are the suggestions that they're giving me, which I don't really understand, because I would think ugly holiday sweater, maybe they would bring up my Christmas activity folder, but they didn't. So here are their suggestions. None of that makes sense. The next option is starred. So here are the folders that I have starred. Once again, not going to go there. So now I have to go to all locations. Now I can go drive and select a folder to put this in. All right, so I found my 12 days of Techmas. I'm going to add the ugly holiday sweatshirt to my 12 days of Techmas. So I'm going to click add, and now it is in my drive. Notice it's still here. I'm not moving it. It has to stay there because I don't own it. So that's all I'm going to say about shared with me. Figure out the stuff that you want to put in your drive and just add a shortcut to your drive. You cannot delete stuff. Just don't worry about this. So now we're going to spend the rest of our time in my drive. So let's talk about how things are organized in my drive. You have your folders first. We've got our homeless files way down here underneath. So these are homeless. They do not have a folder. So my first tip is you can hack the order of your folders. When you're naming your folders, you want to come up with a system that makes sense for you, but there might be certain folders at certain times throughout the year that you want them to be at the very top. So if you're teaching a lesson on fossils, and just for that month or so, you want that fossil folder to go to the very top of your drive, I'm going to show you some ways that you can do that. The first way, which I'm doing here, is you can add an emoji to your name. If you put the emoji in front, then it will show up first. So here's a bonus tip. When you have a folder highlighted, like the Google Be Internet Awesome, and you click the N key, N as in name, you can rename that folder very quickly. Now watch what happens when I change this little pair to a hashtag. So I changed it to a hashtag, and it could be any symbol. And I click OK. Notice it's still up at the top. So that will work also. You can also, if I do N again, you could put a number. So if I put the number, let's say 6, in front of Google Be Internet Awesome and click OK, notice what happened. The emoji is first, and then notice the numbers come next in numerical order, 0, 5, 6, and then we've got alphabetical after that. I'm going to try something. I'm going to change programs. Let me do N again because it's super fast. And I'm going to put a star in front of this one. So if you put a symbol in front of your name, it's going to go to the very, very top. Emojis will come next, and then numbers will come third. And then after that, of course, it's alphabetical order. But, of course, Google is constantly updating and making new options and changes, and they just made a new one to the order of your drive. I just learned about this today. I did not know that this existed. So if you go to the very top where it says name and go all the way across, so you're sort of in that header section where you've got owner, you've got last modified file size, and then go over to the skinny snowman here. Notice when I hover over it, it says more sorting options. So if I click on that, and now it says show folders on top, which is the default, where your folders come first and then your files are at the bottom. And then they just added this where you can mix everything in with files. I'm not sure how I feel about this, but I'm going to click on it just to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to mix things up. Okay, so I did the mix up, and I'm noticing that this St. Patrick's Day hyperdoc is up at the top, which makes no sense. So I'm going to take a look and see why. What I'm thinking is there is a space before the word St. Patrick's Day hyperdoc. So I'm going to highlight it, click N, I'm going to hold right there, and look, there is a space. So I'm going to delete that space at the beginning, click OK, and sure enough, it's down at the bottom. I'm going to do the same for this one because I think that is... So we just learned something. Not only can you put files at the tippy top by adding a symbol, an emoji, a number, but you could also just put a space and it will kick it up to the top. And it looks like the space kicks it up to the tippy top. Very cool. Now, email signature, the reason that that's up at the top is because it's got a symbol. It's got the underscore symbol. So, and then this, now the reason external, even though the word external, it has that bracket, so that's considered a symbol, so that's why it's at the top. So this is how it would look if I had the mix in with all the other files. I don't like this. I have it organized with folders, and then I will eventually go through those unhoused files at the bottom and put them into folders. So I'm getting out of this view, go up here. I like my folders on the top. That's how I'm organized. But I did want to show you that option because it's a new option. Now I do have a lot of subfolders. So if I open up this program one, I'm just going to double click on this program folder, and you will see all of the subfolders underneath. Once again, these principles still apply for the emoji, symbols, and space and numbers, still apply to your subfolders. So I've got this little money guy for the quotes for this year, and then everything else is A to Z learning, and it's alphabetical. If you have no folders, you might be thinking, how do I create a folder? So let's talk about how you can create a folder. I am in my drive right here. So I'm going to go up to new, and the first option is new folder. Click on that, and here I can create this. I'm going to call it delete, so I can hold down the Windows key and the period, and I can add a little happy face and then click create. And there's my delete folder. You might notice that I also have some folders color-coded. The way that you can color code your folders is, once again, you can right-click and choose Organize, and then here at the bottom you'll see you have this color palette right there. Another way that you can do it is you can, when you select the folder, whenever I select a folder, it turns that pretty blue color. I go all the way over here to Skinny Snowman, and once again Organize, and I can click a color for it. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is deleting things. For example, delete. I can delete this folder. So the way you do that is you can simply drag it to the trash. It will stay in your trash for 30 days, and then after 30 days, it will be deleted forever. This delete has this swoopy arrow right here. What that tells me is that is a shortcut. The next tip is to search for untitled documents. So if I just start typing untitled, so I'm going to just put untitled because I want to grab my untitled documents, my untitled forms, my untitled presentations. I want to grab all of them. So I'm just going to put untitled and I'm going to click enter. Now you'll notice up here it says type, people, modified, location, title only, to do. What this means is who owns it. And I want to make sure that I'm the only one that owns it. I could click here and then the owner. So I know I'm the owner. There we go. So now I've got untitled form, untitled presentations. I have all of these videos that are untitled, untitled spreadsheet, and it's still coming up with stuff. So this is pretty embarrassing, but this is a good example. Now, another way that my drive might look different than yours is because I'm in what's called the detailed view. So like this untitled presentation that has a pair in front of it, this is in my Pear Deck folder. I'm assuming it's blank, but I don't want to delete it without making sure that it's blank, but I don't want to open all of these documents. So I have two options here. The first option is I could change my view from detailed view, which is up here, to grid view. So grid will give me a little thumbnail of each document, and then I can see if there's anything there. If it's blank, then I can just delete it. I don't have to open it. So I'm going to switch views. All right, so now I have a view of my documents. Right away, I can tell right here there's nothing on that presentation. So I can click on the skinny snowman, and right away I can move to trash. Right here, I can tell there's nothing in this Google form. So once again, I'm going to move that one to the trash. I'm not so worried about the videos because I'll just delete those. So I know I'm going to delete all of these videos. So if you get to the point where you are going to delete a bunch of stuff, you can hold the control key down and then click and see how it's highlighting the ones that I'm clicking on. And I'm using control because I'm picking between these documents, and see how I skipped that one. If I had the shift key, it would grab everything. So I'm just gonna select all of these videos, right click, and then move all of them. 14 items will be deleted, and I'm going to move it to the trash. Now, once again, I don't want to open up these documents. I'm going to click on this first one, and I'm going to show you the best trick is to preview your documents. Don't open them because then you'll have 75,000 tabs open. You don't want that. I clicked on one document. I'm going to press the P for preview, and now it will bring up my document in a preview window. So it's not opening up a new tab, it's just showing me a preview. And now I can go down here and I can actually click to the next slide. So I can see if there's actually anything else in this presentation. And there's not, there's only one slide. The only problem with this window is I cannot delete. But don't worry. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to the skinny snowman, and I'm going to rename this, and guess what I'm going to name it? Yep, I'm going to name it delete. And then I'm going to click OK. I'm going to stay in this window because if you notice, I've got a little arrow here so I can go to my next document and take a look at it. And I've got this if-then statement, which I don't need. Once again, I cannot delete it, but I can go up here, rename, and click OK. Then I'm going to go to the next document. So I actually want to keep this. So this is a GIF of a Google Doodle. Now up here in the skinny snowman, I'm going to rename this, but I'm not going to name it delete this time. I'm going to call it Google Doodle Valentine's Day Elements. Now I'm not done because I want to put this into a folder. So I can also move this. So I'm going to click move, and none of these make sense. I'm going to go to starred because my Tech Tip Tuesdays are in here, and I'm going to move this to my February Tech Tip Tuesday folder. From this point, I'm just going to keep going through my files, seeing what I want to delete, and I'm going to rename it delete. Or if I want to rename it something appropriate instead of untitled, and then move it to a folder. Because once I name something, I should be able to think about what folder it will go into. So do all of that organizing all at once. Now I'm going to get out of this, and notice I have these called delete now. Because they're all in a row, I can click on one, hold the shift key down, go over here to this one, and it grabs all of them. I can drag it in the trash, or I could right click and select move to trash. So Google always has a bunch of ways to do the same thing. Now let's go back to my drive. I'm going to put it back into detailed view just because that's the one that I like. And let's talk about how you can move things around. So there are different ways that you can move things around. You can right click on the folder. You could do the skinny snowman, or you could simply drag. So right here, I have two Lumio folders. I have a Lumio there, and I have a Lumio here. So both of those Lumio folders have items in them, but I don't need two. So I could, since this one already has a cute little emoji and it's colored, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this one, and I'm just going to drag it down here. So now that other Lumio folder is a folder inside of Lumio, which may seem silly, but let me show you what I'm going to do. So now I'm going to open up that Lumio folder, and I've got this right here. So I'm going to open up the second one, the subfolder. I'm going to take all of these, I'm going to do that shift, and I'm just going to drag it and move it up to this first one. So now I can go up to that Lumio folder that's empty, click on that little shark tooth, select trash, and now it's gone. And now I just have my one Lumio folder with all of those Lumio activities. So now that was really easy because they were super close to each other, so I could drag them easily. But let's go down here. So here's HyperDoc suggestions. So I'm going to highlight that, and I know I want to move that to my Ashland class. So I'm going to right click, go down to organize, and I can move that file. And my Ashland file is one of my starred files. I want to move it right there. Move, and now I've got that. Slides and drawings, I want to move that. So another way that we can move it, once again, skinny snowman, organize, move, and then I'm gonna, let's see if it'll bring up, oh good, it brought it up for me because I had just used that, and then I can move it. Another way you can drag your files is to use this left-hand side and open up your drive over here, and then drag your files from this side to that side. So let me show you what that looks like. It's right next to my drive. There's a little shark tooth right there. If I click on that, now on this side, on the left-hand side, I don't see my homeless files. I only have my folders on this side. And whenever you see the little shark tooth next to a folder, that means that I have a subfolder in that folder. So as you can see, a lot of mine have subfolders. So this ACT team meeting, I'm not sure why that's out by itself. That needs to be in my ACT folder. So if I go here, and then I just want to click on the shark tooth, and now I've got my ACT. So I'm going to take this December 7th meeting, and I'm going to just drag it over there. And I share that folder with the ACT team, so it's just telling me I move that document over so everyone will be able to see it, and that's perfectly fine. This is my preferred method of cleaning up my drive. I find it very quick to just move those unhoused documents into their folder and give them a home. It does take a little bit of getting used to, but once you've got it, it's a really slick way to organize things. All right, the last thing I want to talk about is searching. So right here you've got the search key. If I just type in cat, it's going to bring up every document that has the word cat in the document. All right, so you can see there's a lot, and that's not going to help me. It keeps going, but if I type in cat and then click on this icon, now I can be more specific in what I'm looking for. So now I can be like, wait a minute, I'm looking for a Google form, and I'm looking for a form that is owned by me, has the word cat, but I'm thinking, I think I have the word cat in the actual file name. So I could get even more granular if I wanted to, but I think this is enough information that I can narrow it down more. So now I'm going to click on search. So I'm searching for a form that's owned by me, has the word cat, and has cat in the title. Perfect. So I went from like 200 files to look at to now I have 4. So cat check-in, that's what I'm looking for. So now I'm going to open that up just to make sure that's what I'm looking for. And sure enough, here is my cat check-in. So knowing how to search is a huge time saver. Even the most organized Google Drive, you still every once in a while just need to search for that file that you're looking for. And these tips will help you. One thing I forgot to mention is in your drive, you can have a document live in multiple folders. Sometimes you have a document and you're like, you know what, that could go in my, check-in folder. That could also go in my SEL folder. And it might, it makes sense to go in my morning meeting folder. You can do that. So you can only move it once, but you can add multiple shortcuts. So right here, it lives in my drive. So it's not in a folder right now, okay? So I can move it to a folder. So I'm going to organize and move this into a folder. And I'm just going to put it in here because that's quick. All right, but now it's showing that it's in that space. So now I can organize I could move it out, but if I want it to be in another place too, I could add a shortcut to another folder. So I could also put a shortcut to my February folder and add that. So just keep that in mind. If you're torn between two folders, that's fine. Put that document in both folders, have a shortcut in one, move it to another one, and you're not making a copy of it. That same document, if I opened it up in my Google Workspace folder and changed something, it would change it everywhere that I have it in my Drive. All right, I'm thinking that's enough about Drive right now. So maybe over the summer, you'll take some time and just kind of go through those unhoused files that you have and give them a home, put them in a folder. If you want to take a picture of your Drive all cleaned up and send it to me, that would be so fun. I will highlight you on our next newsletter in the fall. So have a fantastic summer and happy organizing.